We are in the middle of the Atlantic hurricane season. We're not quite yet at the climatological peak of activity, which comes at about September the 10th, but we're fairly close. This is the so-called Cape Verde season, when we look to the African coast for possible tropical development. And as we look at the big picture here, all the way over to the African coast, folks, what you see there is a big red blob which has come off the African coast and is starting to move out into the Atlantic. This one, I can tell you, has held together as far as the thunderstorm action with it, or what we call convection, better than any other tropical wave that we have seen so far this season. This is a big one, and it has a pretty evident, at least mid-level circulation, if not already a low-pressure area at the surface. It probably has that as well. That all having been said, it is a long ways away from even the islands, even Barbados, which would be the closest island to this system, which is still 5, 6, 7 days away from even impacting the islands if it made it all the way across. It will have some obstacles to overcome. Some of the computer models want to take it a little bit farther north, maybe as a little bit of a trough develops here in the middle of the Atlantic. Whether that will continue to pull it north or let it slip underneath and come to the west may depend on how rapidly this system develops. And it may develop. It's not a depression yet. It's just a very, what the Hurricane Center is calling a vigorous tropical wave. And we'll monitor that as well as it continues its trek toward the west. A little bit closer to home, we have a lot of tropical moisture, which we've been monitoring here in the western areas of the Gulf of Mexico, but never really has gotten its act together as far as any tropical development. If there has been any low pressure, it's been rather broad, and a lot of the center of that would have been over land. So just a lot of rain, which is really the net result of all that tropical air being forced up into Texas and Louisiana. Got a little bit of maybe a little bit of a twist here, if you use your imagination, perhaps a little bit with a tropical wave. This is South America, by the way, moving toward Barbados and the Windward Islands, but again, no signs of any development there, at least not imminently. And as we put the big visible picture into motion, again, things fairly quiet. There's that little system I just mentioned. There had been a pretty good twist in the atmosphere. I guess this is it right here. That's an upper level low, so we're not looking for any development there. And once again, here's that big wave coming off the African coast. Folks, let's hope that this isn't one we're going to be dealing with, say, about 8 to 10 days from now, because if it is, and it makes it all the way across, there's going to be some problems. Let's hope that we can keep this out in the eastern parts of the Atlantic or the middle of the Atlantic. Hurricane Flossie starting to die down a little bit here off of the coast of the Baja, gently drifting toward cooler waters.
Thanks for joining us for Storm Watch. A lot to talk about tonight. If we were to just take this part of the tropics, not including the part that I'm staying in front of, we really don't have much to talk about until I move. Then we have this huge tropical wave, as it's called by the Hurricane Center, a vigorous tropical wave, which has moved across here, sitting at about 10 degrees north, and looks like about, 20 to 22 degrees longitude, so it's a long way out and through here. This one definitely has the potential to hold together and develop, especially this time of the year, so we will keep an eye on that for you. We go far to the west. Our tropical feed continues to come in across Texas. Heavy rainfall continues across the hill country here, and really just look at the expansion of cloud cover all the way up through the south. Guess what, folks? That's your Labor Day holiday weekend, by the way. Not much is changing there. Notice as we head out through the Atlantic, the sun's going down and through here, but nothing organized at all, even along this wave. A few clusters of showers and storms pretty far south, probably a few of those heading in toward Venezuela. Hurricane Flossie, 80 miles an hour, continuing to work its way over cooler waters. Tight little thing, and holding together, probably propagating out a few waves toward the Southern California beaches and even into parts of Baja. But this is pretty small, so they wouldn't be as vigorous as if we had a huge hurricane here popping up some big storms. A lot of moisture here coming in.
Hello, I'm Marshall Seas. Tomorrow morning on Your Weather Today, we'll have a look at conditions as we head into the Labor Day weekend. We'll have the forecast for many beaches and other popular getaway destinations at 7 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow morning on Your Weather Today.
Thanks,
for joining us on Storm Watch. We're going to talk about the tropical update in just a moment, but let's update the severe weather situation in southern Texas. A new tornado warning now for Brazoria County in southeastern Texas. Locations in the path of this tornado include Brazoria, Wild Peach Village, and Sweeney, a Doppler radar indicated tornado. It's near Highway 288. So if you're in that area, please take shelter immediately. Brazoria County under a tornado warning now. Well, pretty much clear here in the Atlantic. One major exception to talk about, and that is this wave, and actually an area of low pressure now that has moved offshore of Africa. It's looking very interesting as the convection, the thunderstorm activity around it has become pretty compressed. It's in an area of maximum sea surface temperatures and along the monsoon trough, so it's in an area that we could see some more development. It's still well away from any land, probably about a week away from the Windward Islands. However, this one does bear watching, and of course we will here at the Weather Channel. We're also watching the Caribbean.